Dave, welcome to the podcast. I hear you might have something special for us tonight.
Yeah. Uh,
By the way,
well,
why rat? Where's the mustache?
well, when you're on the range and you're with the Cowboys and you don't make the playoffs, in your sleep they shave it off.
Uh,
Can you believe
I
that?
punishment.
So
Even out on the open prairie, if you don't make the playoffs, there's consequences.
you wouldn't think, but it's universal now. It spreads across. But yeah, um, this is an old cowboy song, you know,
Yeah,
about you know, cowboys when they're sitting around the campfire, they they sing the blues sometimes.
yeah.
Sure and white. And it's this is it's about not making the playoffs.
All right, can't wait. Our viewership triples every time you sing.
It's true. Real simple though. Got the didn't make the playoffs blues. Didn't make the playoffs blues. Didn't make the playoffs blues. Got the Flexerific, Kevin Zadek, Heimlich. Junior is a dipstick. Didn't make the playoffs blues. Didn't make the playoffs blues. Didn't make the playoffs blues. Got the hillbilly Ed Hole. Vader sold his soul. Andy is a boat hole. Josh is a nice guy. Didn't make the playoffs blues. 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 I got the Brennan laid a turd. Rennie said a cuss word. Rat disappeared. Lee is a bass fisherman. Didn't make the playoffs blues. Didn't make the playoffs blues. Didn't make the playoffs blues. Kind of brings a tear to your eye, doesn't it?
It
Would you think it's
does,
an old
yeah.
song?
Well,
Any
when I
kind of
listen,
similarities to anything current, names and likenesses is just coincidence.
coincidence.
Yeah.
Well, so like one of the things I love about having Apple Music is when I'm listening to a song, there's a version where you can press it and you can see the lyrics. When you're singing, sometimes you think you hear something, but you're not really
Did you
sure
think
what.
did you hear something in there?
I thought you called me a dick, but I couldn't.
Oh, see, true artists know that songs are just out there, and
Yeah.
artists they just grab them and they put
Mm,
them in a frame,
yeah.
and it's just they are what they are. It's not,
Right.
don't take offense to anything in
Okay.
there,
I gotcha. I
It's
gotcha.
just that's
Well, it's
just the
like the
way it's out.
yeah, it's like the Noah Kahn song. He sings "I saw your mom," but every time he says it, it sounds like soccer moms, and so it's like I thought I was mistaken when I heard you say it, but
There's some deep
maybe
stuff in there.
yeah.
I don't know that the song's wrong in most cases.
I,
You got,
I
sometimes it's just you got to be true to the rhyme, right?
yeah, yeah. Well, I heard
You know,
I noticed though you changed it because you didn't want to get beat up by Lee.
I did not. Yes, I've
Yeah.
learned my lesson on, I don't know if Lee's ever caught a bass in his life, but in this song he does because
Yeah.
that's just the way it's gonna go.
Well,
You know?
I actually typed up an agenda so that we could stay on task.
Okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
We're gonna let's give some awards out. Final week of the season, you get to award a team of the week. So I'll let you take it away.
So boy, man, some really good options, right? The obvious choice, and probably, I'm probably wrong for not doing this, is to give it to Flex for finishing off a strong regular season with another High Point win, but I'm not because screw him. You know,
Yeah.
so
I,
yeah, you know, it's
I mean,
I'm the
14,
commissioner. It's my
14
award. Not
years in a
again,
four,
Adam.
14
It's
years
not
in a
because
row
of my
making the playoffs.
achievements
Who
that
cares?
this award goes out. It's just
Yep.
the nature of it's the office of
Yep.
commissioner. Somebody else was commissioner. But yeah, so that's the way it is. So what, a lot of good options. Really thought long and hard. about Junior because, he had to win, but he was
Yep.
already in the playoffs and he would have had to lose to get out.
Yeah.
So I thought, some of the matches didn't matter, so we're not even going to cover those. So the person that, had to win, did win, and it put them in the playoffs is Josh. So it's going to him. Now, he didn't have a fight.
Well, we'll
right?
get to that in a second.
Although, Ed ended up with close to 80. That's not as bad as, somebody else that only scored 47, but I got no help whatsoever from the league. I see where, I see how that works, but I can't really fault anybody but myself. But Josh, he had the points that he had to win. Some things had to happen, but it all, he got where he needed. Although his consolation prize is being in 8th place.
Yeah. So for our hillbilly of the week, like you said, some of the matchups didn't matter, so it's like, whatever. But for this one, I have to give it to Ed for not feeling. It didn't matter to him, and we all get that. You know what I mean? There's a lot of that being talked about right now. I don't know if you're seeing the Brett Favre controversy. You know what I mean? Going back like 20 plus years about how he took a dive for Strahan.
Yeah.
And then I guess Mark Gastineau's pretty upset about it. And then there was like a 2-year-old clip about him confronting Favre. But anyway, Ed was in the playoffs. Didn't really matter to him. But he didn't fill out a lineup and a full lineup. He left some guys that, and so Ratty benefited from that. And it helped Josh get into the playoffs. So it's like, if I'm going to give somebody a hillbilly, it's just for Ed for, the integrity of the game.
That's kind of what I was getting at, that we want to be true to the league till the end. And I feel like week 14, that didn't necessarily happen across the board.
But I, hear me. I have 2 non-starters in my lineup this week. Now, it didn't end up affecting me. Maybe I could have had a high points run. Probably not, because flex is unbeatable. But, sometimes that stuff happens real late, like, Dalton Kincaid. I didn't see him. Did he end up just not starting, or did he get hurt early in the game, Kincaid?
I don't remember.
So he was out, and then my running back was like in all week, and then ended up, and he hadn't played 2 weeks in a row, and they were like, oh yeah, he's going to play this week, and then I was at church, and by the time I get home from church, it was like he didn't start, and I was like, ugh.
But your match didn't matter. But
no,
if you're
it didn't
involved
matter.
In a
but
match
like,
that matters.
no, I'm saying that like it's easier than we think sometimes to.
Oh yeah. But I feel like the Green Bay guy was out pretty far into the week.
So yeah, but and Ed might have already known he had everything locked up, and this was a week that he didn't have to worry about a lot. I mean, Brennan didn't worry about his week, so
yeah, I ended up hurting Rennie the most because if Ed does have a wide receiver that scores 16 points, which that's no gimme by any means,
right?
And if he would have played a different quarterback and that, and he could have done a little. If Ed would have probably filled out a lineup the way he had been all the way up until that week, or then he probably scores, a little closer. And if he wins, Rennie's in, and that would have been, been different.
Well, let's just real quick. We'll go through the rest of those matchups. Not that they matter. I play Adam, which is a little foreshadowing because I'll play Adam, and we'll get to that in a second. But that. What you saw last week is probably what you're going to see next week. I just, I didn't even have 2 players. I tried to give Adam a chance, and it just, he couldn't take advantage of it. 127-103 beat down of the Red Kingdom. All right. Flex over carrying the boats, both very respectable. Nobody would have wanted to play Andy week 14, especially if they had to do that to try to get into the playoffs. He scores 122, but Jamar Chase, pay the freaking man. You know what I'm saying? Flex 150 without his number 1 quarterback and his number 1 running back.
Yeah. He picks up, he just happens to see that somehow Chardonnay was available because we're all idiots apparently, and Walker was hurt. He plugs him in and he scores like 30 points. It's that easy when things are going well for you.
You mentioned it. Junior needed a win, and he was playing against his good buddy Lee.
Yeah.
And Junior showed up 111. I mean, if you got to make the playoffs and you got to get a win to stay in, scoring over 110, you can't shake your head at that. That was a great job by Junior, and a little deflating for Lee, but that's what we've been seeing from Lee lately is just like, the week before, a little bit of an anomaly where he came back and had a good week, but Lee's just struggled to score here lately. We mentioned Ed versus Ratty. Ratty gets the win. Ed had a couple places not show up, and then we had Rennie needed to win to keep his playoff hopes alive. He was able to do that. Brennan didn't put up much of a fight. Scored 95. He would have had to score 140, I think, to be able to get in the playoffs. He ends up tied with the 8th place team, but because of point differential, that came back and hurt him. And I kind of earlier, I don't know if you saw it today or yesterday, I had posted, maybe it was yesterday, like 3 matchups that Rennie lost by like less than 5 points. You know what I mean? Those matter, especially on a team that's right there on the edge.
Things and, well, and there was the same, like Adam ended up with what, 7? He have 7 wins as well.
Yeah.
And we had talked earlier a few weeks ago or whatever about how many close matches he had that went his way.
Yep. Yeah. And it's a game of inches. And then you got to play
would
against.
have had less points and not been in.
You got to play against Bad Beat Brian, and you would have had to just, 113. That's tough. And
I'd done it 2 weeks in a row, I had kind of overshot my abilities. And I didn't have the quarterback that had been doing the best for me because he was on bye and I mean, what can you do? It's like, but I had a lot of, I was on borrowed time for 2 weeks.
So we made some predictions, Dave.
Oh yeah.
And talked about who, I can't even remember what week this was. It was probably like halfway through the season, maybe like week 7 or 8 we did this.
Was it that I don't know.
I can't remember, but we made some predictions of who we thought would be out of the playoffs. We wrote some names down, and this has been sealed up. And let's see.
I guess I was wrong. I thought I put 2 different. I didn't do very well.
So, how'd you do? Let's hear your names.
I think I'm 2 for 4. I have Brennan, Junior, me, and Brian.
Okay.
So I was wrong about 2 of them.
All right.
So Junior's was and I don't think I was necessarily wrong, because he was the second lowest total points. He just eked out a couple wins. Brian is where things turned around for him right after that week.
You were assuming Bad Beat Brian would
here's
continue.
What I thought was going to happen. I thought that I was going to like I had a bunch of bad weeks in a row right before we did this. And I thought, I'm going to be out of it. No chance in the world. And then I'm going to beat him week 14 because I knew I played him week 14.
Yeah.
And it's going to be a bad beat like he'd been having.
Yeah.
And I was going to knock him out of the playoffs, and it wouldn't have put me in. That's what I thought was going to happen because I didn't anticipate weeks 12 and 13 happening for me. And Brennan, we all knew. I think he's probably on your list because he just hadn't won much. But I was 2 for 4.
He is on my list. So I've got in the not going to make it, just so we can all kind of see that. I got Sundance, Off While, who ended up making the playoffs. Y-Rat and Show Me. So I got 3 out of 4.
Yeah.
So I gave Rennie the benefit of the doubt, and I thought Junior would lose one more game than he did, and it just didn't end up working out that way. He showed up when he needed to in week 14, and so good for you, Junior. But that kind of brings us to a segment. We started this last year, and actually, if I'm remembering correctly, I don't think we did this week last year. I think we ended up doing it said goodbye to the first round playoff losers, but this makes more sense. So we didn't script this. I'm just going to ask you. We'll go in order. Do these
cost a lot of money?
What?
Do these cost a lot?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Pretty expensive. So we're going to go through and we're going to talk about just a couple things about the season. And so we'll start here. Bottom of the barrel. Okay. So when you look back, Dave, at Brennan and we say goodbye to him for the season, what comes to mind about 2014 or 2024, sorry, 2024 for us for Sundance Kid?
Wow. He ended up with 4 wins. He he bounced around quarterback a lot, I think.
Yeah.
I think obviously Tyreek ended up having a few decent weeks later, but he missed a lot of Miami time.
Yeah.
You
Second
know,
second pick of the draft and ended up just I can tell you real quick. He ended up 17th overall at wide receiver and I mean that's not a huge miss, but if you just average out those points, you know what I mean, across the entire season there was a
yeah.
lot more low scores and not Dak not being the quarterback that he needed him to be and then just really not having anybody else that kind of just jumped off the charts. I think it just made for you
So
know,
his, if you look at, just go back to the draft, and you got Tyreek Hill, first pick. We talked
yeah,
about that. Chris Olave, I think he got hurt. Uh,
yeah, missed. I
James,
think I looked it up. I think he missed like 8 or 10 weeks of the season,
yeah,
something like that.
James Cook had a lot of good weeks, but Allen had a lot of rushing touchdowns.
Yeah,
Michael Pittman was not the star of Indy. Uh, Jerome Ford was not this. Chubb came back earlier, I think, than what, and
yeah,
was in. And then Dak got hurt. Richardson was hit or miss. Then the rest, it doesn't. It just didn't. Things didn't go well.
yeah, yeah. And Brennan's a smart guy. I think one of these years he's going to get a team that is competitive. He stays engaged the whole time, so I appreciate that. And he's funny in the chat when he jumps in. So Brennan, we're going to miss you in the playoffs. Better luck next year. But I think for him, we would just go back and be like, it was the draft, right? I mean, it was
It sure
just some
seems like it. I
misses.
mean, I didn't think about it
Yeah,
until now.
yeah. So, all right. Well, second guy, man, hate to see this guy not in the playoffs just because
Yeah,
we all love Lee, but man, things started out so strong for Lee and then just took a dive. So when you think about Lee's season, what
yeah,
comes to mind?
yeah. He had that stretch that we talked about at some point where he lost, what, 7 in a row or something,
Yeah,
and I mean, that's just hard to come back from. So, I mean, you look at his draft, St. Brown, Detroit, okay, but Devontae Adams did not have a charm season with the Jets. They
yeah,
kind of were a big disappointment. Metcalf had some injuries. Kamara had, I think, some injuries. Um, we ripped him on Mark Andrews, who ended up being fine,
yeah.
but
Slow
you
start
know,
though.
yeah, which you his start wasn't his problem, so he could have weathered it if everybody else would have caught up to Andrews
Yeah,
and started playing like that. But yeah, I mean, he paired Rodgers with Adams, and that didn't, Rodgers didn't end up being an every week starter, plug and play kind of quarterback. So he was, he did get a lot of late points from Chase Brown, but it was just too little, too late.
yeah. So and I don't know, like, what was Lee's like points scored against? Was it like did he face a lot of like was that part of that 7 week stretch, or was it more just he just didn't score a lot of points?
Yeah, I don't have the math of all those right now, but yeah, his was high. It was among the higher ones total, but I don't know about that week stretch, but you got
Yeah,
to think it was.
yeah. I mean, he had over 1,430 points scored against him, which puts him near the top of points
Yeah.
against. But when you find yourself in the bottom four, that's almost always going to be the case, don't you think?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think about this guy, Dave?
Yeah. Had some moments. I was surprised. I went back and looked at my kind of season, and I had it started off bad, but then I had a couple wins in a row that I'd forgotten about, and I had some momentum, and then I took a turn for the worse, and then got some momentum again, and it was just,
Yeah.
I look back and I did something at the draft that I not, and Adam's going to jump all over this, but it's not recommended strategy because I think it's a bet, like you're going to get more points out of it. It's more, I just don't like it when I have to pick between two quarterbacks. So
Yeah.
this was like the first year in a long time that I remember that that I didn't just pick one quarterback and go with it. And then if that guy didn't work out, I'd drop him. And the only time I'd ever have two quarterbacks is when one of them that I wanted to keep was on bye. But I didn't do that. And the 1 week against him, week 6, that if I would have just, had stuck with one of, I think if I would have just stuck, I didn't
Daniels
have two
or
quarterbacks.
whatever it was. Yeah.
I only lost by a few points, and I had quarterback points on my bench. I don't care about running back and wide receiver. If somebody blows up on my bench, it's like, okay, there'll be an option later. But I don't like having to pick between two quarterbacks all season long, and I ended up doing that. And
well, if you read the write-up, you mentioned that for Brian, he's got 3 quarterbacks, and you said if you got 3 quarterbacks, you have
0 quarterbacks.
Yeah,
and that's good. That's just my way, because I don't like having to pick like that, and I don't like coming down and like, oh, I should have played that quarterback. I don't even want to have that in my head, so I don't even have him on my bench. But this year I did all season long, had 2 and I didn't. Probably won't ever do it again.
Yeah.
One win. That's all I need.
Adam's probably going to point to something like that historically you've fallen off, that you're terrible at fantasy football now, that your best days are behind you, that you should retire. But
maybe it's the podcast. I haven't really done well since the podcast. Maybe I'm spending too much time doing
too much focus on the podcast. Well, I didn't say it. Dave, we're going to miss you because here's the thing. Because I had texted you earlier. Like, I think it was during the weekend when things had already been kind of decided, and I asked you a question, and you were like, I don't care. So the reason that I'm upset that you're not making it is because you're going to disengage from both the podcast and the chat because you're so angry. So
have I ever done that?
No, but it's possible.
If you push me hard enough, because the song said, and songs don't lie, you can be.
Well, I
Look at that guy.
Yeah, man. So poor Rennie, not making the playoffs. I'm sure that nobody is more upset than him. I felt bad for him, so I did a little episode 30 for 30 on the perfect season. I don't know if you got to read that. I thought it was some of my better work. So
I don't know. I looked at it. It's
a historical look back at
living in the past.
Better times for Rennie.
Yeah. Look at that face.
Yeah.
Face every mother loves.
I did go back for the episode. I did do some research on Rennie's team. He really was dominant in that season and scored a lot of points. He didn't have near the amount of high points that Flex had this year.
Yeah.
But it'd be hard to rank a season with a loss, even though he has half the high points on the entire season over a perfect season. So, and Travis has work to do still. He's got to win the next 3. So
that's true.
Yeah. But for Rennie, what would be some things you look back on and just be like, this is maybe where it went wrong for him?
Well, I don't think Marvin Harrison Jr. with the second pick, he took a while to get going and didn't know he had more bad weeks.
I don't think he lived up to the hype of not a second rounder. I mean, he could have got a better wide receiver. Nico
Collins,
getting hurt.
Nico got hurt. He had, I think he had a couple weeks where he second guessed Burrow a couple times, maybe, if I remember right.
Yeah.
That
probably hurt him. I think that Nico got hurt right after we did a segment on Rennie having the best wide receiver pick of the draft.
Yeah.
So
I mean, he got enough wins.
Rennie.
He just didn't have enough points. It's like, and I think.
Yeah. There were some times where he left Burrow on his bench where if he did it twice and that could have been enough points to get him into the playoffs. So.
And in his defense, the Bengals were really frustrating. But they, that goes back to my if I picked Burrow, I wouldn't pick another quarterback. But until I had to with a bye week or if he got hurt or something. So I mean, I don't. Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's the 4.
It's tough to.
Yeah.
Rennie, we're sorry you're not in the playoffs. And to these guys, to our 4.
Sadness.
Sing whatever sad song you think about, Dave. It's like
exactly. That's gonna be in everybody's mind. They're gonna try to sleep.
long
gonna try to sleep tomorrow
day
night, and they're just gonna think about
without
the
you, my friend.
yeah,
I'll tell you all about it when I see you again.
yeah.
Uh,
So
we'll miss you.
I wanted to bring this up to see what you thought about this story. Nobody posted anything about it. The Burroughs house getting broken into, and some
Yeah.
random model
Swimsuit.
works for him and was the first one to find out that it happened. Like, is that gonna be Rennie's condo someday? It's gonna be
Yeah.
broken into, and there's gonna be
It's going to
some
be
model
broken
that's gonna be the
into
first one that finds out.
some random
And
girl that's staying there.
she works at the tanning, so
Yeah.
what's the
Yeah.
deal with that? Like, it's kind of like
Like,
like
she has to
some
be like his
internet
girlfriend.
personality. Who knows? And what's she do for him? Who knows?
No, don't you think she has to be like his girlfriend or something? She was just there.
And then why did it all come out that she worked for him, employed by him?
She could be on the payroll.
Yeah, I just thought, but hadn't this happened? Like, a lot of players are getting broken. Like, what?
Well, it happened to Kelsey and to
Yeah.
Mahomes, and then it happened to two NBA players. And so some people are saying, like, I read maybe I was listening to the radio the other day, or maybe it was on McAfee. I was listening to McAfee after the fact, like the
Okay.
clip, and he was talking about that the FBI is saying that some of it's gang related, like that there's gangs that are targeting,
They're not home.
right. Yeah.
I mean, did you see the Colorado guy, his take on it? The Travis Hunter guy, I think.
Okay.
That he's like, come on into my house. Like, basically he was saying, basically he was giving him advice to hire security, and he's like, you should just hire somebody to make sure. And then he's like, yeah, the things are gonna happen if you try to do my house.
Yeah. Well, he's probably got a squad up in his place all the time.
Yeah.
These Colorado football players, dude, they're not living normal college lives.
Yeah. So I did also want to bring up, I mentioned it to you earlier. Several weeks ago, I had the whole list of possible changes to the league, and some of it's kind of gone by the wayside, and because we don't always make a lot of changes around here. But one of the things that seemed that a few people that answered and actually made the list and put the poo or the check mark, was raising the cost of being in the league.
Well, and it's not just to raise the price. We're going to raise the payouts and increase some of the different payouts that we have across the season.
And we've done it before. Like when we went from 50 to 60, things got changed. And so this would just be like some possibilities that we could do. I'm throwing it out there. If we jump to $75, which would only be $15 more, inflation, a little more money in the payout. We got another week of, and most likely it's going to go to 18 soon. So if we keep things the way they are, that's another week of paying out high points that doesn't go to other people, that since we go throughout the whole, all through for everybody. So if we went to 75, we could raise the first place of the champion to like 310 from 230. And then second place, maybe $30 more to 130. Thought maybe making the playoffs, because, or do I know it can be tough.
It's hard to do.
Add $5 to that, so it'd be 15, and then up the regular season to 75, so they get the full back. I think that's fair. It's tough to do. Some of us have never done it. And then the extra 15.
If you listen to some people, they would say that that feat is actually harder than winning the championship.
And so you should at least get your 75 back. That's that would be fair. So if with all that math, there would leave $15. So this is the one that people might be like, oh, you're a liberal giving away. But the highest overall weekly total would get a $15 prize.
So
what do you think of that?
We had it once. You remember that?
Did we? Okay.
Yeah. We had the highest high point winner got an extra.
So it'd be like bringing it back.
Yeah. And I think it only lasted one season, because like when you would track the high point winners, you would like asterisk the one that was like the highest, and it would like stay on there.
My thought process, and again, this isn't gospel, it's not written in stone, but thought process is, for everybody, the 4 that are out first, the next 4 that are out, week 15, it gives you a chance all the way up to week 18 to, besides the $10 high points, to we'd all see what number you have to beat. And if you beat it, you have the whole, you can get a little extra prize. So
yeah, and I'm fine with that. I think if you listen to the podcast, hey, don't forget to like and subscribe, okay? That keeps the lights on for us. But if you want to jump into chat tomorrow and let us know, the other option could be, and I'll just throw this out there. We haven't talked about this.
No, we haven't.
We can do the highest high points of the week. That could be the $15, or we could take that $15 and set it aside for one side bet game that we do during the season. It doesn't have to be the lame one that you all hated this year, but we could come up with one where it was like, oh, that's just like a built-in game that we'll do Thanksgiving week, whatever we come up with.
Get a $15 prize for it.
$15 prize, but I don't know. I don't know if guys like, the funny thing about the side bet is, like, especially like this year, Ed will win as much in the side bet as most guys win for the whole season. You know what I mean? In 1 week. Yeah. So that's exciting. But so I don't know what everybody, I like the high point thing, but like also we could do a different game or something within
and you
the
could
season.
if you wanted to go that route and have, a bigger prize than 15, you wouldn't have to add so much to first and second. They're already, because of the math, they're already going to get higher anyway, because they're going to get an extra 5. They're going to get, some random high points. They're going to get, the second round of the playoff, $20. And so they're already getting quite a bit, but I don't know. It just was a way to keep people engaged.
I think the way that you say it is the simplest. It's the cleanest. I like that. I'm throwing it out there that people could discuss and chat.
The nice thing about it is that if we don't start until next year, you would have won it this year.
Yeah, I know. Exactly.
At this point. Yeah. Unless somebody beats 160, whatever you got.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, that's the funny thing is, like, you can look at Travis and be like, man, he was so dominant. But anybody, any moron loser could score the highest in one given week.
Now, granted, he did 140 a bunch of times, and that's harder maybe than doing 160 one time.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like Travis dominated, but any moron could get it just once.
Yeah. And so it's not like you're getting more than him. You just get an extra little $50. So think about it, post about it. I'm sure there's already some opinions, thrown out there, but just, sometimes just having more skin in the game, adding a little bit of fun to the prizes. We spend a lot of time doing this, so it's like it just feels like we all have hobbies that we spend too much money on. This is one of them, and so.
So what do you think? We were doing a little bit of anytime you have the end of a season, you kind of get some like reflectiveness to the. We were talking about how streaks of people making the playoffs, and then we were talking about Travis has made the playoffs 14 years in a row.
That is,
and that this is the first year that he's ever won the league championship.
Really?
I mean, yes, what Adam said.
I guess I missed that part. Yeah, I was working.
Is that crazy?
That is that's a lot of. Yeah, I mean, you got.
And nobody would call him mediocre, because I think he's won twice. He's got 2 championships, and he's made the playoffs 14 years in a row. He's been really successful. I mention all the time, he's the one team. If you go through the app and look at your history, you can go all the way to the bottom. It'll tell you what team you struggle against the most.
Okay.
For me, it's Travis, right? I've lost to Travis more times than any other team. So Travis is highly successful. Crazy that this is the first time that he's won the league, other than the fact that we have one person that's won it like 9 times or whatever. I don't even know.
Yeah, that does make it difficult to have, like back in the
Bulls or whoever,
or Celtics and Lakers and years back. It's like,
or hard to win the conference when you're playing, against Adam, and Adam just seems to have a knack for
which makes him freaking dangerous this year, because I'm not going to say squeaked in, but it could have gone either way. He could have been knocked out. Like, he needed one more loss, really, and he would have been out. And that's usually not the case.
Matchups this week.
Usually he hovers 1 through 3.
Yeah. I mean, I would say, when you just talk about our league, Adam's amount of league championships and Travis's amount of like playoffs in a row, those two guys are just so consistent. You know what I mean? And we talk about it all the time. Like even when Adam had a really slow start to the season this year, I think both of us had said like he'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Now his team never got to probably where he truly wanted them to be. They were always vulnerable, but he did just enough.
Kind of sounds like his favorite team.
Yeah.
He just keeps doinking field goals off the goalpost and winning.
I put it in group chat. Yeah, I didn't text him. I put it in group chat. I was like, that was the most Chiefs win of the season. Like it's infuriating, really, if you don't like them.
And it makes you think, like, how can you beat them when they're going to get wins like that? You got to think they're going to have some dominant wins here and there, but maybe
Yeah. So if you've got suggestions for the new payout, or if you're adamantly against it or adamantly for it, let us know.
I mean, if it's a deal breaker that you're not going to be in the league if we up it to 75, then I don't want to lose people over it.
Right. Yeah. But everybody seemed to be in favor of it when we just teased it out there.
By everybody, it's 4 people responded.
Well, I think more people responded to that, but is this like a Rob Manfred thing where you want to bring in the golden bat thing and you just kind of tease it out there to see what people think about it?
Hey, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe. I just thought it was the one thing that maybe we would all be able to agree to enact and
that Travis is going to listen to this tomorrow and he's going to be like, we can get $75 approved that easy, and he can't get Flex to go.
But
here's the thing for Travis. Travis, you don't need a flex spot.
Apparently not. This of all years, he's gonna have a harder time, getting anybody to listen to him because it's like, you.
Why make it easier?
What do you have to cry about?
Yeah. So, all right. Well, let's jump in. Number 1 Flex versus number 8 Ratty. We all love Ratty. Does Ratty have a chance here?
My heart says yes.
Okay.
But the math says no.
Your heart says yes. The math says no.
Yeah, I don't.
What, man? If Baltimore were playing a division rival, or if they were playing but they're playing the Giants, and it's like that's tough for Josh to overcome. And Philly's playing Pittsburgh, so that makes it.
They've had 2 weeks to plan for the Giants.
Yeah. So
now the only thing you might wonder is if they, don't want to kill Henry and Lamar, as they move closer and closer to playoffs.
Yeah, but I mean,
it's a little early for that.
Would it surprise you if Jamar Chase scored 60 on? He's the guy.
You just look at and it's like, oh well, maybe he's weak at tight end. Nope.
Yeah. Yeah, I've never seen a projection of 118.9. Yeah. Like that's insane.
Like his worst ranked spot is Xavier Worthy at 40. But that's a guy that could blow up anytime,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he doesn't even need him. You know what I mean?
No, he does. Yeah, so, and that's his worst spot. Everybody else is like, you got 1, 2, 4, 1, 10, 4, 15, 8.
Yeah. So then we move on. So good luck, Josh. I think there's 11 teams rooting for you.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens. If Josh were to win, you know what they say? It couldn't happen to a nicer guy.
That's true.
And so then
there's definitely a path. Like he's got players that can.
Yeah.
That can do that.
Three tush pushes and Josh is right there.
Yeah. I think we'll get to Andy's, but I'd mentioned that, maybe they'll back off. Well, I didn't say this, but maybe they won't try to kill Barkley and they'll pass a little more because of AJ Brown, all that drama. And so maybe they'll come out and be like, no, we can pass. You want to see? You want to see that we can pass?
So that brings us to our number 2 versus our number 7. This is Junior versus Ed. And somehow this feels like this could just as easily be a consolation matchup. You got 93 versus 98.
This is in the playoffs.
Wait, these two teams were in the playoffs. Yes. Compared to some of the other matchups, this seems, but they did all their work during the season to get here, and so here they are.
Yeah, and
one of these teams is going to get a win.
talking about old Ed. This year's Ed minus last week, which didn't matter. He's second place. He's been winning. He can't.
Yes, but the
So you got to think he's
projections
the
would,
favorite.
yeah, but the projections would tell you that this is like the weakest of the 4
Yeah.
playoff games.
Both of them under 100. But again, maybe this is the week that I don't know what he's going to do, whether he sticks with Stroud or whether he takes a chance on somebody else. You got to think that, and
Well,
really,
and
Ed could do the same thing. He's got 2 quarterbacks to pick from, and that's
yeah. To
my
answer
thoughts
your
on that.
question, I'm probably not playing Miami's defense, but still, Miami's defense will make Stroud struggle. Like, they're good enough defense to like.
And he can.
If I didn't have 2 Houston
Yeah,
players,
and that's what I was getting at. Yeah.
yeah.
Like, I don't know that you'll. Yeah, well, we haven't.
It's
You'll actually
diminishing
start them,
returns.
but you
Yeah,
could,
but
but it
Stroud's
makes
got
it
his
tough.
hands full.
Because if Mixon scores 2 touchdowns and Fairborn gets 12 points, then that's a lot of points against your defense.
It is. But Miami could have 2 or 3 interceptions against Stroud in this game easily.
Yeah.
So, good luck, Junior. I think everybody. Here's the thing. I'd love to see Ed get a playoff win.
I would too. Not that I mean, I bet Junior has. He's been in the league long enough. He's got a bunch of playoff wins.
Yeah.
He's got a history of doing okay. Ed doesn't, as far as I know.
Yeah.
I feel like he's probably not been in the playoffs more than he has.
I feel like he's maybe only made the playoffs like once. I don't even know if like him and Brennan, I honestly wouldn't know, but I feel like I went back and saw that they maybe both had been in once, so I don't. Okay. But Adam can tell me if I'm wrong. I didn't do enough research, but yeah, I think that I definitely don't remember Ed having a playoff victory, so that would be cool. Let's see here. We got number 3 versus number 6. Adam had said it. I guess it didn't really matter who won and who lost. We were going to end up playing each other. This was inevitable. So both teams projected super high. Adams worked to get his projection up even higher. It looks like he's at 108 to my 110. So maybe some changes still to happen if anybody's looking to pick somebody up off of waivers. But like, this is. I would have felt better probably if Adam would have had a good week last week and then maybe felt like he was due because he kind of had a down week last week. I'm like, he just doesn't seem like the kind of guy that has back-to-back down weeks.
I feel like you're going to have to score 100. It's not going to be a cheap win.
No.
So you'll have to get above 100, and you definitely have the players to do it, but then so does he.
Yep. Relying on 3 Kansas City guys against a Cleveland defense. Cleveland's defense is okay. It just depends on whether their offense can keep them
Winston
off the field.
He's crazy, for one. He's a nutty guy. He's hilarious. I mean, he's kind of been, one of the highlights of the second half of the league from a story perspective.
Yeah. Let me ask you, because it's prevalent here. And this will affect whether or not other people decide to come or not. Are you still not able to come Monday night to BW3s?
Yeah, I'll be in Evansville, so I'll be too far away. So that means that you'll probably get 11 teams then.
Yeah, so that everybody else, you guys can still come. Dave can't be there, but Monday Night Football, Sam Darnold versus Bijan Robinson. I mean, we'll be there eating wings.
Is that the only 2 right now? That's the only 2 players in that for your 2 teams?
Right now, those are the only 2 Monday night players going, but 2 big players.
Yeah. So it could swing either way for sure if it's close,
Yeah, and they're not playing
somebody needs a big comeback.
They're not in the same game because there's a doubleheader that night.
Oh, I forgot. That's right. Okay. So one will know, but do they overlap them? Like one will start?
One starts at 8, one starts at 8:30.
Okay, so it's going to be concurrent. You're going to see that would be awesome. That would be, if it goes back and forth like that.
You should probably tell Josh you can't work this week, Monday.
No, it's. I mean, I could theoretically get up super early and be at this site in Evansville, or I was actually Henderson, Kentucky at 9 a.m. or something. But that was you lose, or I gain an hour. I could, but I don't want to. I'd rather drive up and the night before.
I would say you should do it because I would love to have you there. There's 10 other
Yes.
teams that are saying, Dave, don't come.
Yeah.
But like
I
that's
don't
just
like it. It's too like they're a different time of the year, but then football wouldn't be on if it was different time of year. I don't like getting up early when it's 2 degrees out and snowing and
Dave. It's a double header at BW3s.
yeah. I'll watch it, just not at BW3s in Harrison.
Okay. All right. And then our last matchup. This seems like Juniors and Ed seems kind of weird. That's the number 2 seed team, and he's estimated to score 90 points or something.
Nothing against these guys, but those like that match. If you're gonna think which one could possibly be 60-40,
yeah,
that one.
but now here we got the 4 versus the 5. 101.3 projected to 102 versus 2. This seems like it should be the 4-5 matchup, don't you think?
Yeah, and I think it'll be higher. I think
it will, but I think it will be close too.
Yeah, I think. I mean, Allen has just been a monster, But then and then Barkley has been too.
I mean, what do you think that Buffalo Detroit score is going to be? 54-50 or something crazy?
Yeah. Where's it at?
It's at Detroit.
Okay,
in a dome.
So that means climate controlled.
Yeah,
although that doesn't stop Allen from scoring a bunch of touchdowns.
Rennie right now is pounding the over. Right now, he's like,
get in early on the over.
Yeah,
because it's gonna go up.
Yep. So
this should be a good one. I wonder if any lineup changes will happen. If Brian will decide between Murray and Goff. That's of all weeks to have to
pick. How much fun would that be? Allen versus Goff, same football game.
Yeah.
That'll be an awesome
Murray's dangerous and he can
Sunday.
but I feel like he has I haven't looked at his numbers, but he's averaging 22. I guess he's averaging more than Goff, but Goff feels like he's had more big games and more stinkers. So it's like, what do you want?
Well, he's coming off a 28-point performance this past week, so that it's like. Yeah. But Buffalo's got a good defense.
Yeah, although they've been they just lost to a team that scored 40-something. So I don't know.
Yeah, no. I think all those things are probably going through everybody's mind. So
I wonder if Brian is, thinking a little bit like just because they do like to hand the ball off to those 2 really good running backs, but they get a lot of screen passes too. So
yeah, but also Kyler's playing against the Patriots, who have been pretty bad.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Tough. I'm glad. Well, I wish I had the choice, but I don't.
Here's the thing about
any chance in where that he plays Cooper Rush. He's still on his team.
I mean, he could. Who is Dallas playing this week?
Yeah, I don't know.
Carolina.
Okay, that's gonna be a must-watch.
Yes, can't wait. Dallas versus Carolina. Bryce Young
versus
coming out party.
Cooper Rush, and it's kind of hurt you for sure. CeeDee Lamb, he got okay against the Bengals.
He got a touchdown early, but then did he have 4 catches the whole rest of the game after that opening drive?
They stymied. Dowdle got a lot of points because they couldn't. Cooper looked lost trying to throw, and that's against the Bengals.
Yeah. So here's the funny thing. Not to bring it back to me, but just because you mentioned it, I traded Adam Dowdle. So Dowdle versus Smith, the wide receiver, something to watch out for because we swapped those 2 players. So whoever
you've been doing fine with him. But it's definitely helped.
Well, and I didn't need no matter what happened, Dowdle wasn't going to get started this week.
Yeah.
I would have started him last week, which would have been great. It just would have meant that I destroyed Adam even worse than I did.
He would have picked up somebody that scored a bunch.
So, well, good luck to all of our playoff teams.
Yeah. The rest of us, matchups don't matter. Just trying to get high points.
Sorry to these guys.
What do you think? Any chance? What would you get the odds of one of the 4 of us getting high points?
No. If I had to guess right now, Travis destroys Josh and gets another high points.
Okay. It won't be one of the 4 of us losers.
Now, I'm not betting the field. I'm
What if you combine 2 of our scores to try to beat Travis?
All right.
Take the 2 worst scores.
Brennan and Lee's scores and put them together, they might equal Travis's.
He said it, not me.
Yeah.
Lee, in case you're listening. His
Oh,
address
goodness.
is something. I can't remember.
I mean, the chances of Brennan actually filling out a lineup are pretty small. The
Yeah,
chances of Lee filling out a lineup now that he's not in the playoffs
they
are
don't
pretty
care
small.
about $10.
Yeah, you and Rennie will fill out lineups
I
just
will.
for posterity's
But no,
sake.
I mean,
You're never
I'm
going to win
done
high
with
points.
this team. I'm so glad that I get to redraft.
Yeah.
I didn't feel like that last year. Last year when I didn't make the playoffs, I had started doing a little better, and I was like, I kind of
Oh,
liked
wait.
my team by the end of the season. This
You didn't
year,
make the playoffs last year either?
yeah, I think I'm
Oh.
2 years in a row here.
Oh my
But it's your fault for this stupid podcast.
God.
But this
So
year,
is Adam right?
he might be. Yeah.
You lost it?
Yeah, this year I am done with this team. I don't like. I'll set it and then forget it.
Yeah.
I don't. You won't see me picking. Yeah, I can't imagine me picking up anybody and making any changes to my team for 3 weeks because
Okay.
I'm not.
Because you're so finished
I'm
with
done
it.
with these guys. I don't like any of them.
Well, Dave,
If I didn't have this, if I didn't have FanDuel and DraftKings and still have some hope in my work FanDuel league because I'm in first place in that, and if I'm still alive in a best ball in DraftKings, that could be a nice payout if things go well, but it probably won't. I'll just end up with like $30. But and be able to do daily, sports stuff. If I didn't have that, I'd probably be really upset.
Yeah. I asked Katie, she said no. $75.
Don't you have a slush fund? don't you and the rest of the ministers just
Dave,
grab some?
I'm just kidding. The defense of my national championship begins now, Dave.
There you go.
And it couldn't. I mean, last year I ended by destroying the Red Kingdom, and this year I get to start by destroying the Red Kingdom. So here's some things you need to know. I do believe that Travis will get high points. I do believe that I will beat Adam. And I do believe that next week, if I beat Adam, one Rip Wheeler will be on the show. How's your Yellowstone streaming been?
Well, I'm stuck now.
Yeah.
Because
do you want?
I've got a
thumb drive that
8.
has. I got a thumb drive that
really?
has 3 episodes on it. If you need them.
9, 10, and 11.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's where I'm stuck. But
Yep.
You got to think that it's ending soon, and then they'll put all of them on some platform in a matter of weeks.
Yeah, I mean,
but I moved on to some cover. I might start one of the old time, like 18s and 19. I might start one of those.
The one with Tim McGraw is excellent.
Okay.
And then 1923 we love too. So go to Paramount. Okay. That's what actually I told Katie. That, yeah. I told Katie the other day that you had finished it and you were like wanting to know where to watch the other ones, and she said, "Tell him to just wait and watch the Paramount spinoffs. They're worth it."
And I was like one click away from signing up for either Fubo. Like there's a couple.
Yeah.
Fubo or something.
Where you could get Paramount Plus.
Yeah, and you can get a free trial for like
channel,
7. You can get a free trial for 7 days, and I could probably watch them. So I might do that, but I don't know.
Well, if you get Hulu with live TV, you can watch them too. I heard.
Yeah, but I don't think they offer a free trial. You'd have to commit to paying at least a little bit.
Probably, yeah.
But yeah.
Well, everyone, good luck. If this is you, we're sorry. Better luck next year. Good luck with your 10 points or $10 high points efforts. Dave, I'm sorry that you won't be in the playoffs, but this gives you more time to focus on the podcast, which is good for everybody.
We'll be back next week. We'll talk about 4 people that are happy.
Yeah.
And 8 people that are sad.
Yeah, I can't wait. Good luck to everyone, unless you belong to the dark side. Then I would say, you had it coming. So
yeah, had it coming.
All right. Fair enough. See y'all next week. Warriors play tonight in the Emirates Cup. So go Warriors. And Bengals are going to make a push to the playoffs in the last 3 weeks of the season,
You
4
know
weeks
it.
of the season. So go Bengals. We'll see you all next week, and don't forget to like and subscribe.
Bye, everybody.